Let's explore the wisdom of interpersonal connection through meditation. This morning's lesson is drawn from Green Heroine's Easy Meditation, inspired by Dzal Patrul Rinpoche's Final Meditation Manual. Our survival as a species is predicated upon our relationships. Our oxytocin-oriented reward system is all about relationships, seeking fulfillment through cooperation, which makes sense evolutionarily speaking, for compared to other animals, we are not the swiftest, we are not the strongest, we are not sharp of claw nor long of fang, but we can cooperate with social groups, whether we call them packs or herds or tribes. We can cooperate. We can cooperate vocationally, recreationally, platonically, and intimately. From a survival point of view, our relationships are of prime value, not only to our survival, but to our reward mechanisms. Therefore, it should come as little surprise that our relationships can fuel our experience of pleasure, pain, interest, boredom, the glorious, and the grotesque. Control is an illusion. We cannot control what emotions we feel or what emotions other people feel. We cannot control other people's choices or their actions. We cannot control our emotional responses to their choices or utterances or deeds, but we can play with certain mechanisms that help us to cope with what they say, do, and choose, and our visceral reactions to them. So this morning I'd like to show you 3 tools: a chant, a mindfulness, and a meditation. In preparation for the chant, we will view letting go through a physiological lens, as we bring the experience of the 4 bases of mindfulness into the ultimate path of love and letting go, where it is letting go that is emphasized. This technique is known by many names, including a generation or creation stage, Tantra Mahamudra, Mahayoga, and Tokal's leap over pride. Now, I've mentioned the 4 bases of mindfulness, and those would be the circumstantial, the physical, the interpersonal, and the mental. And so, obviously, this morning we're going to focus on the interpersonal. There are some who would tell you with a straight face that we only experience emotion because we have preferences, and if we had no preferences, we would not have emotion. That is malarkey. Emotion is our gene's way of communicating to our body that is older than language, that is older than thought. It evolved prior to our capacity to have preferences. While the 3rd Chan patriarch might have meant well, when people take his teachings literally, it creates more problems than it solves. We are wired to hate scarcity, pain, scorn, and insignificance. We are wired to crave plenty, health, love, and importance. Whether or not we admit these things to ourselves and others, that is what we are wired for. Our challenge is not that we feel primal survival drives. The question is whether or not we are aware of them and whether or not they control us. When they operate in the background, they do more harm than good. When they control our choices, utterances, and deeds, they do more harm than good most of the time. The benefit of meditation when it is done correctly is it helps us to be less resistant to our emotions, to give ourselves so that we are less a slave to our knee-jerk responses. Now, you might argue that in a life or death situation, we might need to live. Our survival might depend on knee-jerk responses. Fortunately, the more we practice mindfulness and meditation skillfully, the more we experience, the more our blood migrates up from our anxious and aggressive amygdala to our empathetic anterior cingulate gyrus. It has been taught that the highest love is spontaneous and uncontrived, flowing from the mindfulness and the meditation that come from cooperating with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. The more that our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the effortless effort of love's centered spontaneity, the less we'll be a slave to our impulses, the more accepting we will be of our impulses, the less likely we will be to be controlled by our impulses, and the more like a real or imagined Buddha's paradise our life can become. So we're going to do a preliminary chant and then the actual chant. Let's begin with the preliminary chant together. Those who tread that path of Devadatta, caught in the thrall of rigidity, confuse metaphors for literal statements. Upon this path of the Buddha, we relax into flexibility, savoring the chants that explain these metaphors and similes. So now that we have some context, we're now going to actually savor that aforementioned chant. We'll do so right now. As we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could sound quite resounding, and we're going to stop there. So there is the literal experience of relationship. There is the literal experience of communication, and then there is the figurative experience of communication. Our relationships are defined by communication. Some of it verbal, most of it nonverbal. That is why communication is a metaphor for relationship. And speech is just a synonym for communication. So as we breathe in, we can observe the behavior and communication of the people in our lives, whether co-workers or friends or lovers or family. We can observe them, and we will feel all manner of emotion, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. All this occurs automatically during the inhalation. But what happens during the exhalation? Let's chant. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined mantra of light. So, if something is comprised of light, We can observe it, but we cannot grasp it. For instance, consider this word void. What is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn? Which, although could be compelling to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. Similarly, these four bases of mindfulness can be symbolized by four aspects of traditional Buddhist iconography. A Buddha's paradise, a Buddha's body, a Buddha's mantra, a polysyllabic mantra, and a Buddha's one-syllable mantra. And so here, a Buddha's polysyllabic mantra symbolizes communication. And if it was made of stone, you could pick it up. It would be very graspable. If it was made of light, you couldn't. And so this is simply a metaphor for the non-graspability that we're already wired to experience every time we exhale. Because every time we exhale, we access the parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower lumbar region of our spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. It is evolved to physically support physical relaxation as well as mental release, so that whatever we noticed during the previous inhalation can now feel less tangible. Now, this isn't permanent. By the time we start breathing in, it becomes tangible, it feels tangible again. And so, just as we vacillate all day long between inhalation and exhalation, our experience can vacillate between tangible and intangible. So we're not trying to believe something. We're not trying to change our wiring. We're trying to surf our natural wiring, to cooperate with our natural wiring in a way that helps us to live in our anterior cingulate gyrus rather than our amygdala, help us live in empathy rather than aggression or anxiety. Now, yes, this can be easier said than done at times, but these techniques help, especially if you perform them once every 12 hours. So we've just chanted this together, and now let's practice the actual mindfulness exercise. The easiest way to practice a perceptive mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite this demonstrative pronoun during each inhalation, or perhaps a more skillful way to communicate would be this. The key to keeping our 3-pound supercomputer between our ears from interfering from the very healing mechanisms of our sympathetic and our parasympathetic nervous systems is to give it a technique to allow it to easily cooperate rather than interfere. How do we do that? Simple. During our inhalation, by giving our brain the job of silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this, and makes perceptive mindfulness easy. By giving our brain the task of silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable verb ease, which functions as a synonym of relax, during our exhalation, it allows our brain to cooperate with physical relaxation and mental release. Now, all these words may be very nice, but they're meaningless until we actually experience them for ourselves in the laboratory of our body and brain. So let's do that together right now. We don't have to choose what to feel. Our sympathetic nervous systems did not evolve to indulge either extreme of mind blanking or concentrating. Instead, it evolved to notice things vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. Sit here and play with this exercise, and your body will show you things. Sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. Emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginings. Sit back, leave the driving to your brain. Sit back and enjoy the show. The reason you know the show is enjoyable and not going to drive you into doing something you'll regret is because every exhalation will help you let go. As long as you're breathing out, as long as you're relaxing, then your thoughts cannot control you. Once you hold your breath, then it's a different matter. I look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. Whoops, wrong button. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day, every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. The name of this morning's practice text is Green Heroine's Easy Meditation. Upon the path of rigidity, we might view Green Heroine as a literal entity to be worshipped or supplicated. However, upon the Buddha's path of being flexible and laid back, we view Green Heroine simply as an archetype whose iconography reminds us that we are already wired for love and kindness and mindfulness and meditation. Our first exercise is a set of 2 recitations that help us to exercise the neural pathways responsible for empathy and enthusiasm. The first recitation is rather literal, and we set it to a quasi or semi-triplet chant. Please join me as best you can. May I liberate all beings from the tyranny of hating, craving, and clinging, by relying on the Buddha's example, instructions, and students. We're going to take the same ideas, and in the second recitation, compress them, using figurative language. We're also going to swap to a different chant. We're going to swap to the bookend chant, which is the go-to chant for the remainder of the practice. Let us practice this or perform this for 3 repetitions. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. May I liberate all beings by relying on the 3 jewels. Together. May all master letting go and love as well as kind communication, conduct, and calmness. May all master the effortless effort of love-centered spontaneity as well as mindfulness and meditation. So I mentioned that our sympathetic nervous system did not evolve to support active concentration. That begs the question. If our sympathetic nervous system did not evolve to actively concentrate upon our breath, and what are we to do with our breath? We can treat our breath the way a piano student treats their metronome. When we notice our body breathing in, for this exercise, we could silently and mentally recite 12 syllables, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. And when we notice our body exhaling, we can silently and mentally recite an additional 12 syllables, relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. So this is not an affirmation. We're not trying to believe something. We're just playing with words that are describing mechanisms that are already occurring within our central nervous system. Let's give it a shot. So let's take a quick break for a short explanation. As mentioned during the opening lesson, relationships are a source of peace and a source of agitation, a source of pleasure and a source of pain, a source of interest and a source of boredom, a source of glory and a source of grotesquerie. So it's not surprising that a relationship or a lack of relationship can make us feel turbulent phenomena, turbulent emotions, turbulent intentions, turbulent thoughts, turbulent memories, turbulent fantasies. Our job is not to judge them or control them, but to merely observe them. Let's continue. Let us begin contemplating the iconography of this archetype of enlightened activity. Together. I and all living beings as extensive as space have had our crowns of white lotus and moon seat. During our inhalation, we can silently and mentally recite sitting tall, which helps remind our body to generate a vertical traction between our tush and our head. During our exhalation, we can silently and mentally recite the verb relaxing. Let's continue. Upon the cross lotus and moonseed from us edible Tama rises the archetype green tartan. Her body is comprised of green light. She has 2 hands and 1 face. Her right hand resting on her right knee is in the giving mudra. Her left hand is at her heart, with the ring finger and thumb pressed together, holding the stem of the blue bala, of the blue bala flower which blossoms at her left ear. As we breathe in, please silently and mentally recite "Notice this," and as we exhale, please continue to recite "Relaxing." She is peaceful, smiling, and fully matured, adorned with the precious garments and ornaments. Her left foot is tucked in and her right foot is slightly extended, in preparation for the inevitability of death. On top of her head appears a Nirmanakaya form of Amitabha. As we breathe in, let us silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun "this," and as we exhale, let us silently and mentally recite the 1-syllable verb "ease." Now that we've reached the now that we've climbed the contemplative cruising altitude, let us, together as a team, meditate as transformatively as young Luke Skywalker on Dagobah under the guidance of Yoda. Let us bring the experience of the 5 bodily regions into the path of bliss and letting go, which is known by many names, including completion stage Tantra, Bindu Mahamudra, Anu Yoga, and Tikle drop, which is short for channels, winds, and drops. Together, let's chant. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever lower abdomen we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as real or imaginable, gusset settled of green light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever navel we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as real or imagined, Rana Sambhava syllable tram of gold light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever chest we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as real or imagined, Nakshobhya syllable hunga blue light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever throat we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as real or imagined, Amitabha syllable of red light. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever crown or scalp we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as real or imagined, Vairocana syllable of white light. Now let's rest the mind. Let us bring the 5 perceptions into the path of awareness and letting go, which is known by many names, including Dzogchen's Great Completion Stage, Tantra, Sutra, Mahamudra, Anti-Yoga, and Trek Cho's Slice Through the Tyranny of the Duality of Dread and Desire. Together. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever sight we may have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever sound we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever scent we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever flavor we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever sensation we might have noticed during our inhalation could begin to feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. Let us bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the conventional path of love and letting go, where it is love that is emphasized. Those who tread that path of Devadatta waste time and energy chasing contrivances of visualization, emotion, magic, and belief. Upon this path of the Buddha, we simply recite these words in harmony with our breathing and allow our subconscious to do the heavy lifting. May all minds of all beings now be as peacefully wise as the mind of a real or imagined Buddha, symbolized by a tikle, one syllable seed or bija mantra. May all relationships of all beings now be as joyfully loving as real or imagined taught as communication symbolized by this 10-syllable mantra. May all bodies of all beings now enjoy the beautiful seen in Buddhist art, depicting the blissful body of a real or imagined Yidam or Deva or Yidam and archetype of enlightenment such as Green Tara. May all circumstances or lots of all beings now have the good fortune or boon. As taught as real or imagined, pure as pure land or vati. Good morning and welcome to the live stream. Every time we breathe in, whether we know it or not, we access the sympathetic nervous system, ensconced not within the 3-pound supercomputer between our ears, but instead within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It evolved not to indulge either extreme of mind blanking or active concentration, but instead to merely notice, and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. So we can let the sympathetic nervous system do its job without being undermined or hijacked by the brain, simply by giving the brain something to do, such as silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this during each inhalation. During each exhalation, we evolved to effortlessly access and automatically access our parasympathetic nervous system, ensconced within both the lower lumbar region of that same spinal cord as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. It evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. And once again, the easiest way to prevent our brain from interfering and to get it to cooperate is to give it the simple chore of silently and mentally reciting the verb ease during each exhalation. Let us now view letting go through a physiological lens as we bring the experience of the four bases of mindfulness into the ultimate path of love and letting go, where it is letting go that is emphasized. Together. Those who tread that path of Devadatta are caught in the thrall of rigidity, confuse metaphors for literal statements. Upon this path of the Buddha, we relax into flexibility, savoring the chants that explain these metaphors as similes. Together. As we inhale, all circumstances or lots could appear quite vivid. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined paradise or vati of light. As we inhale, all bodies or forms could feel quite sensual. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined archetypal yidam of light. As we inhale, the interpersonal experience of communication or speech could sound quite resounding. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, it could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined mantra of light. As we inhale, we could notice all mind's perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings quite clearly. Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable or void as a real or imagined bija seed suitable of light. Let us view letting go through a philosophical lens, as we bring the illusion of the horizontal duality of us and them to the dance of impermanence and interdependence known as Madhyamaka's yoga of inconceivability. All circumstances or lots could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light they could absorb into this body or form. All bodies or forms could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could absorb into this communication or speech. All interpersonal speech could be as impermanent and interdependent as if it could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could absorb into this mind. All minds could be as impermanent and interdependent as if they could blissfully melt into rainbow light that could absorb into our vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, could be not graspable to the hand. Let us chant the Dharani explaining this mantra's meaning. O Mama Chittara, swift and courageous, you drive away all fears with Chittara's meditation. Heroine fulfilling all ends with today's mindfulness, thus with a suitable, so how may it be so. For the remainder of this morning's practice, let us bring the spontaneous play of mind into the path of awareness and letting go, which is known by many names, including Dzogchen's Great Completion Stage, Sutra Mahamudra, Ati Yoga, and Treksho's slice through the tyranny of duality, of the duality of dread and desire. To make the most out of mantra meditation, during the inhalation, please silently and mentally recite this italicized phrase, relaxing into this. What is this? This is whatever we notice, vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly, whether that which we notice is a sight, a sound, a scent, a sensation, a sight, a sound, a sensation, a flavor, a scent, or the like, whether that which we notice is an emotion, intention, thought, memory, or imagining, whether that which we notice is external, internal, physical, mental, pleasurable, painful, interesting, boring, glorious, or grotesque. Now, what do we do with that which we notice? Haha, this is where it gets interesting. During our exhalation, we physically relax as best we can, while striving to chant these 10 syllables 4 times per breath. Do give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa. Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa. Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa. Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa. Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa. Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa. Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa. Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa, Om tare de da de du de suwa. Om Tare Du Nare Du Re So Wa. 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 Om Dare Du Dare 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 Du Re So Wa. So, welcome to this morning's live stream. The moment you have a, oopsie, To make the most out of mantra recitation, during the inhalation, please silently and mentally recite this phrase, relaxing into this. This represents whatever we notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, or randomly. Whether that which we notice is a sight, a sound, a sensation, a flavor, a scent, or the like. Whether that which we notice is an emotion, an intention, a thought, a memory, or an imagining. What do we do with that which we notice? Well, as we exhale, let's physically relax as best we can while striving to chant these 10 syllables 4 times per breath. Om Tare Dure Suwa, Om Tare Dure Suwa, Om Tare Dure Suwa, Om Tare Dure Suwa. Please give yourself permission to have a learning curve. Practice this once every 12 hours or so, and within a week you should have it down pat. Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa. Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa. Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa. Every time we inhale, we're already wired to perceive. Every time we exhale, we're already wired to release. But our brain sometimes gets in the way unless we give it something to do. So if during our inhalation we ask our brain to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, it doesn't interfere with mindfulness. And when we give our brain something to do during the exhalation, such as silently and mentally reciting the 1-syllable verb ease, it doesn't interfere during meditation, which is the natural behavior of both our sympathetic and our parasympathetic nervous systems. Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa. Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa. Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa. Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa, Om Dare Dare Dure Suwa. Om Dare Nu Nane Nu Re So Wa. 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 Om Dare Du Dare Du Re Suwa 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 Let us seal the practice with a bit of chanting. May all minds be as wise as taught us. May all speech be as loving as taught us. May all forms be as healthy as taught us. And may all lots be as fortunate as taught us. May every meditation teacher truly understand the Buddha's teachings and practice master as well as instruct them generously, lovingly, and wisely in the manner of centered spontaneity. May all meditation teachers spontaneously receive generous patrons, enthusiastic students, as well as devoted apprentices. And may many Dharma centers likewise be successfully planted, nurtured, and supported. I am a little turned around right now. Please bear with me. If in the off chance you feel that I've earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 10 hours or so, I would very much like to return to lead this evening's meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.